From Good Morning Maryland. Thanks for joining us this morning. I am here with Jana Wolff, who is the Director of Nutrition and a registered dietitian for the Comprehensive Obesity Management Program at GBMC. Did I get that whole title correct?
Sure did.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. So we're in the thick of it. It is the holiday season.
Yes.
So we're going to be talking about just how to try to eat healthy and those portion control, all of that. So all of our questions we're going to answer today. So jump on Facebook, write to us. I'll ask Jana. And let's just start with the big question is, I feel like I put on a couple pounds during the holiday season. Is that normal?
It is actually very normal. I looked up a couple of studies on this, because I really wanted to know the truth. Do we actually gain weight during the holiday season? Unfortunately, we gain about 1 to 5 pounds during the season. They used to think 5 to 10 pounds. Not true, actually.
Okay.
But the caveat is that this is the weight that we hold on to across the years. So if you gain,
this is the worst weight during the holidays.
Exactly. So it's usually the weight that we don't take off through adulthood. So it is really important to actually pay attention, especially since the holidays really do last from Halloween to the New Year's, and then it kind of extends into the football season, right?
Really? Okay.
So, they kind of define it as an October through January, but it's a little bit longer than that.
Right. So
Yeah.
we got to be careful. And when we talk about holiday weight gain, is that really just centered on because we're eating bad, or is that stress mixed in?
Oh, it could be a number of things. It could be stress. It could be leftovers. It could be the fact that we're not exercising as much because we're so busy. We're not paying attention to other things because, there are tons of food around.
Right.
So usually when there's a lot of different options in front of us, we tend to actually eat about 20 to 40% more than we would if we just had a normal meal right in front of us.
Right.
Okay. So, I love this time of year, and it's very interesting to me because as a child, when I was growing up, I was very overweight. That's why I got into nutrition in the first place. And I always felt like the holidays were the hardest time for me because I felt very out of control. So I totally empathize with anyone that feels the same way.
Okay, so we had some questions that were submitted ahead of time to us. So someone asked, what can you do ahead of time to prepare for and/or fit in big holiday meals into a healthy diet?
Yes, good. Planning ahead. So you want to basically have those 3 meals a day. If you're having a holiday party or you're getting together for Christmas or something like that, it doesn't mean that you should save up all your calories for that one meal. I think that's a big misconception because you want to treat that big meal just like any other meal. You don't want to overeat, okay? You don't want to feel out of control. You certainly don't want to go there with a completely empty stomach famished. So have your breakfast, have your lunch, have a snack, and then go to your meal and eat it just like you would. Also, I would stay hydrated for sure because sometimes if we're a little bit dehydrated, we'll feel a little bit hungrier. Okay. So definitely drink your water throughout the day. Also, exercise. Exercise is a huge one. You're going to burn extra calories, whether it's vigorous exercise or just taking a big, nice family walk or walk with your friends. It'll do something for you, okay? Right. And then lastly, if you want to prepare any meals for yourself, or any side dishes that are a little bit healthier, that's a great way to avoid some of the really high-fat, high-calorie items there.
Gotcha. All right, Antonio, Anna Maria, we just want to say hello. Katie, those
hello.
joining us on Facebook. Okay, so when it comes to, let's say, a big meal, maybe the potlucks at work,
yes.
Do we just avoid the food altogether, or can you have a little bit? Is it just about, keeping it all in moderation?
Good question. This is a very personal question because some people, and I deal with a lot of patients, I see over 300 people a month, so I definitely understand what people go through during this time of year. Some people can have a slice of cake and call it a day. If you can have a slice of cake and not have 2 slices or 3 slices, absolutely. But if you can only have 1 scoop of mac and cheese, do it. But do not do it if you know that it's going to trigger you to overeat and then kind of cascade into overeating for the rest of the week, okay?
We have a question coming in on Facebook. So how do you know how many calories you're supposed to eat that a person should consume a day?
A great way to do this is to just go on myfitnesspal.com, okay, or download the app. You put in your height, your weight, your gender, your activity level, and you can see around how many calories you should be having per day. Typically, it's anywhere from 1,500 to 1,800 for women, and then 1,800 to 2,200 for men, if you're average sized. So I would definitely go on. MyFitnessPal is a great one, and also Lose It. Any of those apps are really good and easy to do.
Okay, so someone asked, you mentioned bringing healthier options to big meals, or obviously, you know, we think that you should do that. What are some healthy swaps for meals and for desserts?
Yes. So let's talk about meals first. A lot of stuff that we look at, like if you're thinking of Christmas, Christmas time, it's kind of similar to Thanksgiving. What you can do is bring things like, and I want to mention this because all of my patients know that I'm really into cauliflower swap outs. So cauliflower rice, cauliflower mash, cauliflower stuffing even is a good one. And there are things like cloud bread, which, and I'm talking about replacing a lot of the simple white flour, rice kind of things, because there's so much that you can choose from that you might as well swap out some of them. Using whole grains also is very good. So instead of, maybe like a creamy potato-y dish or casserole, you do like a wild rice with some cranberries and walnuts or something like that. So cutting down on the butter, cutting down on the cream, using things like low-fat milks, even almond milks to thicken things is better than using the full-fat everything, because high-fat meals, lots of calories for a very small amount.
So if you're making, let's say, a dessert, some people would ask, do those little differences really, make a big difference overall?
Absolutely, because over the course of the whole holiday season, if you're doing a little bit, 200 more calories here, 300 more calories there, 50 more calories there, they're going to add up over time. And again, we talked about earlier, those pounds that you gain during the holiday season are more likely to stay with you through adulthood, than coming off. Now, for dessert, that's a big one, because a lot of people kind of look forward to those really good desserts that you don't really get over the course of the year. I would focus on fruit first. So you can fill up a little thing, half fruit, and then a slice of whatever you want. Okay. You can also do baked apples with cinnamon, a little bit of stevia, some of those other nice nutmeg spices. And you can also use almond flour and coconut flour for the crusts of pies. So if you did a fruit pie, you can do the crust of it with something just a little bit healthier.
Bonnie says, and I totally relate to this, and I'm sure so many others do, my problem is I eat while I'm cooking and then I eat with the family.
Yes.
All right, so how do you avoid?
Well, if you have your family there, you're going to focus on your family, okay? You're not going to focus on the food. Also, I know you guys know what the food tastes like. You don't have to taste it to just make sure.
You don't have to taste test? All right,
yeah.
Well,
I know.
We got to be better at that, right?
Also, you can keep kind of a running tab, if you wanted to put a little something on the side for yourself so you can visualize it and see, okay, I ate that much. Maybe I'll make up for it, during my meal. Right. That's also another way of doing it. Also, staying hydrated again.
Yeah.
Because if you have a drink of water or a Crystal Light or something right near you, you might go for that versus just picking at everything.
Gotcha. Okay. A big question we got is there a better alcohol option? There's a lot of drinks flowing around the holidays, especially at holiday parties and family gatherings. And so it's funny, we asked this question just out in the studio today, and everyone gave a different answer as far as, was there a better alcohol as far as calorie-wise goes? Okay, so what's the answer?
Before we talk about what alcohol, let's talk about how. So not coming to the party on an empty stomach, okay, because you're ultimately going to get more drunk, okay? So, and then your inhibitions go down and you're ultimately going to eat more.
Okay.
So you're going to consume more calories regardless. Having water or seltzer in between your drinks is always a good idea, because then you can actually replace some of those calories with your water and seltzer. Mixers. Mixers are a big one because we use juice, we use tonic, which, by the way, tonic is not sugar-free or calorie-free. It has the same amount of calories as soda. And you can use diet drinks like, diet sodas, diet Sprites in something like a vodka or a gin. There are also, there's a line called Skinny Girl wines and tequilas and things like that, which are a good choice if you're going to indulge in some alcohol. Also, you can make a trade-off. So if you say, I want to have a drink or two, maybe I won't have dessert. And you can kind of balance out those calories there.
Okay.
And, I think that's about it.
Getting some more questions in. What kind of bread should I be eating?
So bread is one of those things where there's a lot of options. You can do things that are whole wheat, whole grain. It's always best to look at the package and say 100% whole grain or whole wheat as the first ingredient. Okay, because oftentimes they'll mix the whole grains and whole wheat with white flour, which can shoot up your blood sugar a lot quicker than something with a lot of fiber in it, which is the whole grains. Whole grains, rye, pumpernickel is also a good one. If you make your bread at home, that's also a good idea. So you might want to venture out during the holidays and try to make your own bread recipe. There is also something called cloud bread. I mentioned it earlier.
Okay,
It's made out of eggs, a little bit of low-fat dairy, and some cream of tartar to puff up the eggs. And it kind of comes out like a little bun. My patients know this one well. And it freezes really well, so you can actually make a bunch of them, freeze them, defrost, and toast them. And they're very similar to bread, tiny bit different, but it's an interesting alternative.
Yeah, somebody on here said that they heard cloud bread.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, there's something called fathead bagels. Look up the recipe, try it out.
Fathead bagels. Okay, I can get behind that just by the name. Okay, let's see. How do I avoid water weight?
Water weight. Well, avoiding sodium. That's really what it comes down to. So lower sodium items, using lower sodium broths, not adding salt onto whatever you're eating, and not adding salt when you're cooking, because salt will draw in a lot of water. Okay? You want to stay hydrated, but you also want to reduce the amount of salt while you're doing that.
Okay. A personalized question. Are there stevia-based drinks because I can't drink Crystal Light anymore?
Absolutely. True Lemon. They have a whole line of True Lemon, Lime, Orange. I just recently tried an Orange Mango one, which was very good. And Crystal Light actually came out with a Crystal Light Pure brand that's using stevia as well. BAI is also another good product.
Okay. We all have coworkers, they know who they are in this building, who will try to sabotage your diet by tempting you with your favorite treats. How do you go about that? What should you do?
Okay, we call them food pushers. So you have to identify who your food pushers are. And I have one in my family. She just gave me a lot of food to take home. I couldn't resist. And that's a big problem, because then you're going to have it in your house. If it's in front of you, you're going to eat it. Or in the office, if it's laying out in front of your desk, you're certainly going to eat it.
It also sounds like most grandmothers, too.
Absolutely,
right?
Yes. So it all depends. If you want to, like we were talking about before, if you know you can have a small bit of something, yes, take it. But body language is very big. So if someone offers you something and actually is handing it to you, if you just put your arms down and say, you know what, no thank you, I'm great, thank you, that body language of having your hands down and not reaching out for it is very effective. Also stalling. So if they say, oh, why don't you try this? I made it just for you. You can say, you know what, I'm enjoying this right now. It's so good. Let me just finish this before I go on to that.
Okay.
And they'll forget.
Yeah, good tips. Okay, a go-to healthy appetizer to bring to a party. Is there a quick, easy one?
Quick, easy. My favorite is, I have two, or three maybe. I like chickpeas that are roasted. So you take the can, wash it off, get all the sodium off of it, dry it out, put it on a pan, and bake it with a tiny bit of olive oil, and you can throw in anything you want, sriracha, hot sauce, even like turmeric and ginger, anything like that. So that's a nice one. Also edamame. You guys know edamame, it's the little green soybeans. So you can roast those as well, or you can steam them, and those are really fun to pop. Okay. And I love the little toothpicks with the caprese salad. Yeah. So you do the little mozzarella, a little plum tomato, and some basil.
Yeah, and that's a pretty one to bring,
It is pretty, yeah.
Another question off Facebook, what are good meat alternatives?
Good meat alternatives, always tofu, and TVP, which is textured vegetable protein. Okay. So if and I'm sure you have seen it if you've been looking, there's something called tofurkey. Yeah, that's going to be high in sodium and a couple of extra preservatives and things in it, but it is a nice alternative for the time being. You can also marinate tofu with the same types of herbs and spices as a turkey. Okay, so thyme, rosemary, garlic, things like that. I really enjoy tofu. It's a low-calorie, low-fat alternative.
Okay, I want to get back to another meat question, but first I want to jump on Facebook because we're getting more questions. Back to bread, is white bread good for you? Is it okay?
It's not good or bad, but there are options in front of you. You can choose a whole grain, a rye, a pumpernickel, something with a little bit less effect on your blood sugar. White flour, it doesn't have a lot of fiber. It doesn't have too many nutrients per se, so it might spike up your blood sugar a little bit quicker than something like a whole wheat. So definitely choose the whole wheats as much as you can. You could even make a stuffing with whole wheat bread. Those are better options than the white bread. It doesn't kill you to have a piece of white bread here and there, especially if it's freshly baked and it's a special occasion. But for the most part, the whole grain, whole wheat, 100% whole wheat is the best.
Anna Maria is asking, how do you know how much water to drink?
It's about half of your body weight, so in ounces.
Okay. Back to meats. I don't know about you. I love a good red meat. Love steaks.
Yes.
How often is it okay to eat red meat? I've heard that you should kind of try to stay away from it a little bit, but is there truth to that?
The leaner red meats are always better. So, if you can go directly to the butcher in the grocery store and ask, what is your leanest meat that you have? And they'll provide that for you. They're very knowledgeable on what they have. And use that, at max a couple of times a week. And also, not only how often you're eating it, but think of the portion size. So a portion size of about 20 to 30 grams of protein, which is about how much you should get per meal, that's even on the higher side for some people, is about 3 to 4 ounces. That's about the size of a deck of cards. That's hardly anything because it's packed with protein. So think about the portion size as well as how often you're eating it and the type of meat that you're eating.
Okay. There's a lot of diets that you hear about. Gosh, I'm always seeing new ones on Facebook. The keto diet. What are some of the others?
Paleo, South Beach, whatever it is.
Exactly. So is one better than the other or none at all?
Well, as a dietitian, I talk a lot about diets, but I also talk a lot about your particular diet. So not a prescribed diet, but the way that you eat every day. What we should be looking at on a plate, a smaller plate, is half veggies, a fourth lean meat or lean proteins, and then a fourth your whole grains or your starchy veggies. So with all that said, I don't think a prescribed diet like ketogenic diet or the paleo diet is something that people can do for long term. And I'm going to just mention the keto diet for a moment because I know that a lot of people do it. It's great. You'll lose weight. You'll lose weight on any diet. Okay. That is for sure. It's how long you can do it for. And when you stop something like the keto diet, your weight will shoot up. So, because you are in ketosis, which is a whole another lesson there, but you don't want to have to go yo-yoing back and forth and then go all the way back to what you were doing after you've regained back the weight. So moderate eating throughout a longer period of time is better than having this prescribed rigid diet.
Okay, Christopher wants to know, what's a good reset option if you fall off the wagon a bit?
I would go plant-based, always, well, it doesn't need to be fully plant-based, but really focusing on veggies, okay? At every meal, getting some form of veggies. If you want to have a shake or something for breakfast, that's fine. Just as long as it's a complete meal and you're getting maybe up to 300 calories per meal or 500 calories. So I think that the best option at this point is not what you're eating, but actually writing down what you eat. Okay. Whether you're using an app or you're physically writing it down on a piece of paper, because this makes us much more aware of what we're putting into our mouth. And then you can also look at the rest of the week and say, oh, you know what? I did slip up a little bit on those days. Maybe I'll watch it on these days. Yeah. So a reset, I think the best thing to do is just write down, even for a week, everything that you're putting into your mouth.
Okay. Is there an app? I know you mentioned one app before. Can you use that app?
MyFitnessPal is great. Lose It is great. For anyone that has had weight loss surgery, Barrytastic is a really good app as well.
Okay. What about cleanses? Because I know we had, the question about kind of resetting. I see a lot of those out there, 3-day, 1-week cleanses. You have the Master Cleanse. What do you think about those?
The only thing that a cleanse will do is get you excited about eating healthier, because your liver and kidneys cleanse your body. And I know that all of my dietitian friends out there are going to say, yay, because cleanses are not studied. They have no evidence base behind it. And it's not something that we usually recommend to people because it could be dangerous. People can get dehydrated. And if you do it for too long, you could reap your body of vitamins and minerals that you really do need to stay healthy.
So the people who say, well, I lost some weight off those, is it just because they're really not eating anything?
They're really not eating, and they might lose water weight, okay, hence the dehydration. And yeah, I mean, if you're not eating, yes, you're going to potentially lose weight and then overall regain weight and hold on to weight,
right.
Another
question on Facebook, there's so many sugar alternatives. The best option out there?
Stevia.
Stevia.
I'll just say it right then and there, stevia. It's made out of a green leaf. You can grow it in your backyard. They dry it out, and it's one of the purest forms of sugar-free alternatives. Also, Truvia is a good one as well, but they use a sugar alcohol called erythritol plus stevia. So that's a good alternative as well.
Okay. So you have it sounds like you have nothing to feel bad about if you use stevia, right?
The only thing that you should pay attention to, I think, when you're using stevia is how much you're using and if it's causing any sugar cravings. Because sometimes if you're having excessive amounts of sweetness in your mouth, it can kind of trick your brain to think that you are actually eating something sweet, and then all of a sudden your body's like, wait, I didn't get something with sugar in it. Maybe I want some actual sugar. So pay attention if you're using a lot of stevia and you're getting those cravings for actual sugar. That might be deterring your, weight loss or diet efforts.
It seems like a lot of people, or maybe you were just hearing more about it, have some sort of allergy, right? You hear a lot about gluten-free and this and that. I mean, do you see a lot of that in your work now?
I see some. I see gluten-free. Gluten intolerances, I see lactose intolerances, and I think that what's happening is basically we're more aware of our diet. The internet is also playing a big role in that because there's a lot of scare tactics on the internet that gluten or dairy or whatever, red meat, it doesn't matter, will harm you or even kill you. There are lots of documentaries out there about this, but a lot of it, I believe, is really scare tactics, and it's forcing people to really cut a lot out of their diet, which may, again, cause deficiencies and an overall unhealthy relationship with food.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, there are a lot of documentaries out there. People will say there's one that says, something, I can't remember the title of it, but
What
it basically is that it that talks about how being a vegan is so great?
Yes. They were talking about, so it's called What the Health, and I have opinions about this documentary
that you can't share here.
Well, let's put it this way. I think it was well done because a lot of people, it caught a lot of people's eyes, and maybe it'll increase the amount of vegetables and fruits and plant-based things that people eat. That's great. But I just want to make people aware that there was a section of that movie that had some people that were on a lot of medications, and they went on a plant-based diet for 2 weeks, and then they threw all their medications away. And they showed them doing that. And I really don't want anyone to go on a diet thinking that they can just throw their medications away without working with an actual doctor. Okay, because that's my fear, that people will become more sick because they think that the diet will cure them.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. The oils that we cook with, okay, so let's say, just every night you're cooking anything. You were saying kind of toss the butter, don't cook with the butter, right?
You can use some of it. Olive oil is heart healthy. Canola oil is good too. Some of the veggie oils are okay.
Coconut oil.
Coconut oil, I truly believe in. Now, some people might not agree with me, and that is perfectly fine. I do believe that it really is a saturated fat. The fact that when it sits out on the counter, it's still solid. It means that it is a saturated fat. It does have some of those medium chain triglycerides that a lot of people are looking for, that have the health benefits of coconut oil. But you can use coconut oil. All oils and butters across the board, it doesn't matter which type, have around the same amount of calories per tablespoon. So if you are watching your weight and calories, that's something to pay attention to. It's about 100 to 120 calories per tablespoon, just 1 tablespoon.
So if I'm cooking, let's just say chicken or some vegetables in a frying pan, what do you typically use?
I use PAM, canola oil spray, olive oil spray. Some people use, I can't believe it's not butter, spray to just give it a little bit of buttery taste. That's okay. There's a couple of different chemicals in there that I'm not a huge fan of, but if you're working on saving some calories and you're using it in limited amounts, that's fine as well. But, a tablespoon of butter, a tablespoon of olive oil is not going to kill you, but a lot of us don't take that tablespoon out and measure it. Right. We just go like this, right?
That's what I do.
Yes.
Now I'm rethinking.
Do an experiment. Go home, see what it looks like in the pan.
Okay. Well, good to know. Someone asked about coconut sugar. What about coconut sugar?
Coconut sugar is a little bit less than regular sugar in terms of quantity, so a little bit less in terms of the grams of sugar. However, it's still sugar. Sugar is sugar is sugar. So honey, maple syrup, molasses, sugar in the raw, coconut sugar, all of them is sugar. So if you are trying to watch your sugar, if you have type 2 diabetes, if you are trying to watch your calorie intake, maybe just use it in limited quantities.
Okay. Want to get back to the fact that it's the holidays. If you're going to get back, bring it all back, and just let people know, is there a good resource for healthy holiday recipes out there?
Yes, I love Pinterest.com. You type into the search bar healthy holiday recipes or any form of that sentence, and you will get a ton of recipes. I also like SkinnyTaste.com. Those two, Skinny Taste and Pinterest, are my 2 favorites.
Okay. And they're going to be some easy recipes for me, right?
For sure. You could say easy holiday recipes.
All right, there you go. All right, well, thank you. This has been so great. I feel like I've learned so much. Hopefully you have too. So thank you so much for joining us.
I just want to say one last thing. During the holidays, yes, we tend to overeat. The best thing that you can do is just enjoy your time with your family, enjoy your time with your friends, practice mindful eating, which is just a slowing down and enjoying the food and stopping when you are satisfied, and waiting about 10 minutes before you go back to seconds to really see if you are actually full.
Okay? I've heard that before. Mindful
eating. Yes, just slowing down, enjoying that food, and being present in the moment instead of just going like this.
And it's probably something you have to practice too. It doesn't just come
This is not
naturally.
By nature. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for joining us. Hopefully some of your questions were answered. And if somebody is looking for more answers from you, is there a way to contact you?
Yes. My email address is jwolff@gbmc.org, or you can go right through the Facebook site of GBMC and ask all your questions there.
Great. Well, thank you so much, and thank you again for tuning in. We'll see you back here tomorrow on Good Morning Maryland starting at 4:30 on ABC2. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.